Oklahoma octopus. As the rate of unexplained drowning deaths has reportedly crept up in Oklahoma's placid lakes, some observers had turned to an unusual explanation: a freshwater octopus. The legend of a killer cephalopod lurking in the murky waters of the state's Lake Thunderbird, Lake Tenkiller, or Lake Oglala has been surfacing for at least the past several years. Animal Planet's lost tapes show even aired an investigation of this crypto creature. The beast or beasts, dubbed the Oklahoma octopus, reportedly drags swimmers down with its many strong arms. This unlikely animal, people have explained, might be a rare living fossil left over from the time tens of millions of years ago, when this part of the country was indeed a shallow sea and a perfect octopus habitat. Over the millennia, this particular line of octopuses has adapted to fresh water, these proponents suggest. So if you're thinking of taking a dip in one of Oklahoma's lakes, you might want to think twice. The Skirving Hotel. Built by W.B. Skirving in 1910, the hotel was to provide all the finest comforts to Oklahoma City visitors. When it opened in 1911, it was the first hotel in the city with air conditioning. Towering at 10 stories tall, it contained 224 rooms and a grand ballroom with a capacity of 500. In the 1930s, a third wing was added, increasing the size of the building to 14 stories with 525 rooms. It was shortly after the addition that things turned dark for the hotel. It was said that W.B. Skirving had an affair with a hotel maid who became pregnant. In order to prevent a scandal, it's said that he locked the pregnant maid in a room on the top floor of the hotel. Even after giving birth, the maid was not allowed out of her confines. Driven to madness, she hurled herself and the infant child out of the window to their deaths. Since then, incidents of a haunting have been reported in this hotel. Staff nicknamed the maid's ghost Effie, though the true identity of the maid is unknown. She still wanders the halls, disturbing guests, sometimes in the most provocative ways. The infamous 10th floor, formerly the top floor, seems to be the focus of the encounters. The maid's tragic story is not the only eerie thing that happened to the Skirving. The hotel was supposedly the site of numerous seances and a meeting place for devil worshippers. And at least 4 other people, other than Effie and her baby, have died there, including a couple that committed suicide. Stinky Knee. Stinky Knee are a type of vampiric witch found in the lore of the Somali people, who were native to Florida but were later forced to move to Oklahoma. Stinky Knee legends may also be found among the Creek people. They appear as normal humans by day. At night, they transform into owls. According to some, they can take the shape of any animal, though the form of owls is most common. At night, the Stinky Knee will sneak off into the woods and begin to vomit up their internal organs. The organs are then hung in a tree, or else hidden to prevent animals from eating them. The Stinky Knee transform into owls and fly off in search of their prey. Stinky Knee eat human hearts. which they rip from sleeping humans through their mouths. After feeding, the Stinky Knee must retrieve its organs and swallow them in order to transform back into a human shape. If a person can find and destroy the organs of the Stinky Knee, then it will die. Sunlight may prove fatal to a Stinky Knee who has not turned back into a human. They can only be killed by arrows or other weapons that have been ritualistically prepared and dressed with sacred herbs. These weapons tend to be decorated with owl feathers. At the location called Stickland, near Sasquatch, Oklahoma, is believed that there is a large concentration of Stinky Knee. All manners of strange paranormal phenomena have been reported at this location. The Stone Lion Inn. This lovely Greek Revival Victorian was built in 1907 by a very wealthy man named F.E. Houghton. Mr. Houghton and his wife had the house built to supply more living space for their 12 children. Unfortunately, they lost one of their children at a very young age. Little Augusta had been struck with the whooping cough, and one evening when the maid administered her medicine, she was accidentally given the wrong drug. After digesting the liquid, Augusta died of an overdose. Mr. Houghton owned the house until sometime in the 1920s, when it was then sold and turned into a boarding house, and then after that it was turned into a funeral home. In 1986, the house was sold again. This time it was turned into the inn that it is today. There are 2 known entities that still roam the house today. That of Augusta, and a male apparition who is believed to be Mr. Houghton himself. Many who have been in the house have claimed to hear the sound of little feet going up and down the stairs when there are no children around. These little footfalls have also been heard going up the back staircase, and the door to the playroom has been heard opening and closing. Upon investigation, there are no living persons in the room. However, many of the toys belonging to children of the current owners would be strewn about. After this strange phenomenon had occurred several times, the lady of the house decided to put a lock on the playroom door. However, the same event still occurred. As for the male entity, many have claimed to see him dressed in a top hat and suit, wandering around the basement area. The owners of the inn have also claimed that cigar smoke has been smelled as well as seen, floating upon the air in the basement. Another interesting report that seems to point to this apparition is from a guest who claimed that she could not reach the ceiling fan to turn it off. She reported that when she went to bed, she suddenly felt a heavy weight on the bed beside her, and the ceiling fan turned off. The weight then lifted from the bed. Today, many paranormal claims are still made at this inn. In fact, the Oklahoma Ghost Patrol did an investigation in this house and found quite a bit of proof to substantiate the claims. The Hex House. The strange tale of Tesla's Hex House, where a middle-aged woman named Carol Ann Smith kept 2 young women as virtual slaves, shook Tesla over 70 years ago. In 1944, Smith, who was 51, was living in a stately ivy-colored duplex at 10 East 21st Street with Virginia Evans, who was 31, and Willanetta, who was 30, and are claimed to have been hexed into turning over every cent from their day jobs to her. Smith also conned Evan's father out of $17,000 for fictitious nursing care for Virginia. Officers inventoried the duplex and found that Smith lived luxuriously, buying expensive perfumes, a $250 dinnerware set, a Packard car, 46 pairs of shoes, 18 pairs of gloves, 26 hats, and enough makeup and beauty supplies to stock a drugstore. Meanwhile, the two young women slept in a cold basement on orange crates, dressed in threadbare clothing, and were denied makeup and any other hygienic items. Neighbors reported a mysterious midnight burial in the yard, prompting police to dig up two small coffins containing the remains of dogs. In October of 1944, Smith was found guilty of inducting the two younger women to testify falsely against a neighbor and sentenced to a year in prison following a 3-day trial. A month later, Smith also pled guilty to federal charges of using the mail to defraud and make false statements to obtain a wartime ration book in the name of her bulldog, Bon Bon. The Hex House was eventually sold and demolished to the ground, turning it into a parking lot for a temple. The steps can still be seen on 21st Street, and the tale lives on as one of the strangest in Tulsa history. I hope you ghouls enjoyed these 5 Oklahoma urban legends. I wanted to make them longer, but I couldn't. They keep canceling school. I live on the East Coast, so if you didn't know, there's this bomb thing. I don't know, they're calling it a bomb, of just snow and ice and cold and wind, and everything's canceled, and it's just really hard for me to get time to record when my kid's around, and I can't really put him for a nap anymore because he's too old for that. It's just hard to get my stuff done, but I did my best to get out what I could, so I hope you ghouls liked it. And let me know, is it freezing where you are too? Because right now it's 5 degrees outside, and I think at night it goes down to -5. So I'm curious. Let me know the temperature where you live and where you live, because I've heard that it's just as cold in Florida as it is in Alaska. Is that true? Let me know. But as always, ghouls, my last video will be on the top left. The next video will be on the bottom left. All my social medias are on the screen, as well as in the description box below. And remember, there's always someone or something watching you.